Well, the Green Party won 30% of the vote in my area. And that means they're in the parliament properly now. All that stuff in Japan about nuclear power, that helped. Because in my area there's 4 nuclear power stations. And the Green Party have promised to shut them all down. Which I think is good. Because I think people who believe in nuclear power, with the technique that we've got these days at the moment, are clinically insane. You always get the typical stereotypes from people who say, oh, the Greens, a load of rubbish, they're all Luddites and they want us all to be wearing sandals and going back to the Middle Ages. And we can't live without nuclear power. Oh, that's a load of bollocks. Because nuclear power wasn't, the first reactor wasn't made to produce power. It's like a car's not made to produce heat, but it does. Nuclear power stations were built as a source of plutonium for the first atomic bombs. And all these powerful companies, the nuclear power companies with the big lobbies, they all say, oh, it's safe, but it's a load of bullshit, as has been proved in Windscale, 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and now Fukushima. There's panels of experts, paid experts, who know sod all. Oh, meltdowns 1,000,000 to 1. Well, there's been a few meltdowns, and I'm not 1,000,000 years old yet. Yeah, back to the calling the Greens Luddites. If you ask me, they're the only ones with the ideas. They can laugh and say wind power's no good. You can laugh and say solar power's no good. All these alternative things, you can sit laughing and snickering, but the oil's running out. Everyone knows that, and someone's got to start thinking about alternative ways of producing energy. I would like to see a graph with the costs on it. I'd like to see, say, a power station, a nuclear power station that's been running for 40 years. I'd like to see the cost of the amount of electricity it has made over its lifetime. And then I'd like to see a cost of how much it will cost to decommission that power station, because you can't just knock them down. They have to be taken apart bit by bit, and each single bit of rubble and concrete and iron, all the parts, they've got to be stored as nuclear waste too. They've been decommissioning one in old East Germany for the last 40 years, no, for the last 35 years, and they're still only half finished. Imagine how much money that's costing. And then that's not even including the waste that they've got, and some of this waste they've got to store it safely for 50,000 years. That don't even come into the equation. What sort of a cost are you talking about there? And the energy companies who make the money on all this stuff, they don't have to pay that. All those costs for the long-term storage of it, that's got to be paid by the taxpayer, and that doesn't get factored into the costs, and that's what people don't seem to realise. Being taken for mugs. I don't usually rant much about politics, but yeah, people are just being lied to like crazy for a short-term profit, a dangerous short-term profit. And you never see that written in the newspapers, how much they done costs are. One reason is because nobody knows. We can't even keep something going for 100 years. How can we keep something going for 20,000 years? And all these nuclear waste sites, programmed disaster areas, because you need a lot of energy to cool these things. You don't keep them cool all the time, or they start heating up again. And say in 100 years when the oil's all run out, what are they going to cool these great big massive dumps with? Okay, fair enough, you can say I don't care about that, I'm dead and gone. But that's just like suicide on a... It's not a suicide of one person, it's a suicide of the whole race. You can see what the experts do, and you see the lies just from this Japan thing. One day it's all under control, the next day it's 10 million times more radiation, the next day it's 100,000 times, the next day it's under control, the next day it's meltdown again. And there's some shuffling, creepy looking guy who looks like he works in McDonald's with a ridiculous blue overall on, telling you everything's alright, and you believe him. They haven't even been able to develop any form of concrete that lasts more than a couple of 100 years. Even solid concrete just rots away with time. It's all about entropy, isn't it? How much energy you put into it to make it. And that energy is going to disappear out of the concrete, and then it's going to crumble up to bits. As well as all the radiation from the inside attacking the concrete and everything as well. But these politicians and people who got shares in the company, they don't see it that way. They just see the short term. They just see the short-term profit. They can sit on the fat asses and make loads of money. And that's what people don't understand. How can people be so dumb but live in a complicated civilization like us? The lies the government's put out to people, it's unbelievable. How can they believe it sometimes? A couple of months ago, we've got no money, we're skint, it's all gone, we ain't got a penny to spend, we've got to have cuts. What the hell are we doing then in Libya, yeah? If you want to say, we're going to save all them people from that horrible dictator. I tell you, there's hundreds of countries in the world with people as bad as Gaddafi. And we don't go going in there, do we? Well, the reason is Libya's got loads of oil, sweet crude. And when this bombardment, when they've got Gaddafi out, and they'll get the rebel boss in, and they'll say, right, now it's payback time. Here's the bill for those 500 cruise missiles were sent over, all them planes and stuff. There's the bill, that's £3 billion. You can pay us back in oil if you want. So it's just a big way of selling weapons, that's all it is. It's a big business deal, and people don't realise that. And you might think I'm cynical, or you might think I'm simplistic, but it's the way I see it. And if you want to moan about trouble in the world, then but you support your country selling weapons to all these third world countries, well, you ain't got a leg to stand on, have you? The more you think about it, the more sickening it is. Ivory Coast, it's exactly the same thing. There's people getting slaughtered in the street by the dictator there. But chocolate's got no value, yeah. It takes a lot of chocolate beans, cocoa beans to buy a cruise missile. Look at, they just call a bloody rake a rake and say, right, we're going to go and make some money over there and sell some more weapons of destruction. Fucking life's tough enough as it is without making it worse.
the worst is these slimy, lying politicians who will never give an answer, who spent loads of time on £300,000 courses in rhetoric so they can learn how to lie. Lies. And the stupid people believe them as well. And I think the people seem to be interested in is watching game shows and watching people fooling about. Jerry Springer, idiots. Ah. You get government telling you about smoking, how bad it is for you. About wind scale. Being back in England recently, I couldn't believe how many people I met had cancer. All north of England was covered in plutonium and wind scale, but they kept that quiet. Chernobyl, all the stuff that came over towards England, all them fields are still contaminated. Here in Germany, you're not allowed to eat wild pigs, wild boar anymore. All the mushrooms in the forest, they're all uneatable. They're all absolutely contaminated with radioactivity. But let's see what happens. People will forget. In a couple of months they'll be dancing on Britain Looks for the Superstar and waiting for the next big catastrophe to wake up people for a while. My idea is, instead of just slagging things down and saying let's keep it as it is, because it ain't going to stay as it is. Things are going to get worse and worse. The world's getting fuller, the fuel's running out, and the only people I see with ideas is green. I don't see any ideas at all from the other side.